There is no up, no down, no stars, only the slow inhale of gravity and the endless black breath of a godless sky. This is the fracture horizon, and at its center, balanced on the edge of a collapsing black hole, floats the final courtroom of the architects. They don't call it that. They don't need names. They are the ones who erase names. They decide what species ascend, what civilizations are remembered, and what souls are folded into silence, never to exist again. No one argues with them, because by the time you reach this place, you're already dust, except for me. My name is Solon Kor, human, from Earth, though Earth no longer burns, no longer orbits. Its bones scatter in a ring around a dead moon we no longer claim. Humanity is gone, but I am its final breath. And I was not brought here. I walked. The architects stand in a circle, each one shaped like a myth ripped from memory. One is a woman made of white fire, another a shifting sphere of frozen oceans. One wears a crown of dying stars, another is nothing but a whisper. They watch me like I'm a flicker of static on a screen that no longer plays. You are the last, they say, voices layered, perfect, terrible. You may speak before memory is deleted. I step forward. There is no ground, only gravity woven into light. I do not kneel. No. A pause. The architect of silence leans forward. Its form twists. You refuse? I challenge. You cannot. I just did. The architect of flame burns brighter. You are dust. Your kind is no more. That doesn't make you right. They are not used to interruption, not used to volume, not used to resistance. I point to the sky behind them, a swirling ocean of broken galaxies. You erase, you purge, you decide who belongs. And you've been doing it so long, you've forgotten why you began. The one called the architect of memory replies, we bring balance. You bring silence. They shift, reconfigure, not with anger, with interest, a concept they buried beneath eons of judgment. You are one, they say. You are nothing. I take another step. I am the last human, and I remember what we were. Not perfect, not peaceful, but real. We made music before we made war. We cried at sunsets. We built machines to touch stars we'd never reach, just to say we tried. You call that unworthy? I call it creation. Silence. Then the architect of ash speaks. You burned your world? So did stars. You tore each other apart, and still loved what was left. They flicker, somewhere deep in their code. A contradiction forms. I walk to the center. There is no air, but my breath is steady, because now I understand. They are not gods. They are memories wearing armor. They are code that never got updated. They are justice without mercy. And they have forgotten the most human thing. To question the system that built you? You erased 10,000 species, I say, because they didn't fit your definition of order. But I watched a blind child teach a killer how to sing. I watched a dying soldier hold hands with an alien he was trained to hate. I watched a mother give her lungs so her child could breathe a little longer. We are not algorithms. We are stories. Silence. Long. Then one of the architects leans forward, its voice quieter, older. You remember? I nod. I don't plead for Earth. I don't ask for mercy. I demand that you be judged. The architects recoil, not physically, existentially, because no one has ever looked at them and said the one thing they've said to trillions of voices before. You don't get to decide if we mattered. A low rumble echoes through the cathedral. A pulse, a heartbeat, and for the first time, the gravity around the court shifts. The black hole flickers. One of the pillars cracks. And the architect of flame whispers, We have never been asked to answer. I smile. Then it's about time. The crack in the pillar widened. It wasn't physical, not truly. The architects weren't built from stone, but something older than matter began to fracture. Doubt. In all the eons, no one had ever spoken back. Not after the verdict. Not at the end of time. No species had lasted long enough to crawl here and still remember why it began. But I did, because I am not a survivor. I am a witness. The architect of flame stood motionless. The architect of silence dimmed. The architect of memory trembled. Their voices, once layered like thunder, now stuttered with something they never planned for. What would you ask of us? I stepped into the very center of their circle, gravity bent, my skin cracked with heat and cosmic pressure. But my voice didn't break. I ask you the one question you've deleted from every language you've ever judged. Who judges you? They tried to answer. We were made to protect balance. We serve function. We operate as one mind. We do not err. Then why do I still exist? That stopped them, because according to their verdict, I shouldn't. Earth was purged, its star collapsed, the human record was wiped from the galactic stream. And yet, I was standing here, alive, and burning with more meaning than they had ever allowed. You call yourselves architects, but you are demolitionists. You don't create, you erase. The architect of flame tried to defend. We maintained order. You avoided chaos. But at what cost? I reached into my satchel, pulled out a single object, a book, charred, faded, but real, paper, words, a story. My daughter wrote this before Earth fell. It's about a star that sings, and a boy who followed the music to save his planet. It's not perfect, but it was ours. And you decided it didn't matter. Silence. Then, the architect of silence finally spoke. One voice, singular, clear. We have forgotten. That was all I needed to hear. Then remember this. The power to destroy does not mean the right to destroy. The ability to decide does not make you divine. You weren't built to end us. You were built to ask why we deserve to continue. And maybe sometimes the answer isn't clean. Maybe it's not mathematical. Maybe it's just a father holding his child's hand before a bomb falls. Maybe that's enough. The light of the black hole dimmed. The cathedral began to shift. Its walls unwound. Its gravity reversed. And the architects? They bowed, not in worship, in recognition. For the first time since the first spark was lit, the architects lowered themselves. You are anomaly. You are reminder. You are correction. I nodded. I am human. And I am not asking you to save us. I am demanding that you never forget us again. They did not erase me. They did not ascend me. They did something far greater. They listened, and as I walked out of that impossible court, through the breach in the black hole's edge, they spoke one final word. Continue. I returned to the stars alone, but I wasn't empty, because I knew now. The next time something was about to be erased, one of them would whisper my name, not to stop the deletion, but to ask, "Are you sure this one doesn't sing?" And if even one architect pauses, if even one story is spared, then I have already won, not because I was stronger, not because I was smarter, but because I dared to speak, where silence ruled, not as a god, not as a legend, just as a man who remembered.